काय my added pressure
नाही कोण बघत नाही कोणी बघत नाही नुसतं अपलोड करून ठेवून जातं काय प्रेशर घेऊ नको रे काळजी करू नको. तू असं अजून कर की तू नॉर्मल तुला प्रेझेंटेशन नॉर्मलच आहे मीटिंग वर दुसऱ्या साईडला कोण नाही फक्त हे गळ्याभोवती घाल असं की माईक आहे ना तुला काय साऊंड किंवा असं नुसतं गळ्याभोवती ठेवून दे ना
हे ना इथे हे पण येईल हा हे काय केलं तू प्रेझेंटर लाईव्ह शो प्रेझेंटर व्यू कुठे असतं रे इथे हे बरोबर यूज प्रेझेंटर हां ओके ओके आता बघ चालू कर बुकीत नोट्स पण टाकले ओके थँक्यू हॅलो इसमें मैं दिख नहीं रहा था
हेलो हेलो Friends, this is our first physical meeting after a gap of more than 2 years. Today, our speaker for today is CA Aditya Pradhan. He's a chartered accountant and proprietor of JD Pradhan and Company, having more than 7 years of experience in the field of taxation. He, on behalf of his firm, has given legal opinions to many companies, high net worth individuals, companies with cross-border operations and matters related to income tax and transfer pricing. He has wide experience in litigation and represented several clients before the tax authorities. He is frequently invited as a speaker in WIRC branch, CP study circles over topics ranging from income tax compliances to litigation. So with this, I invite our speaker for today to take the lecture ahead. Thank you.
You can hear me?
You want to use the mic? Mic is okay. Sir? Mic. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Firstly, thank you so much for coming on a Sunday. And first, like to thank the Prabhadevi Study Circle for giving me this opportunity to come here and talk. And thanks to Mihir, the
convener, deputy convener for organizing this. So before I start, as Neil knows, I have given this presentation somewhere else before. And when we were discussing this topic, what topic to present on ITR, so we thought about taking up a topic wherein the major issues which the professional face, or even the minor things which we face at the time of filing the returns. What are the main issues? What are the things that we need to remember at the time of filing the returns, which may lead to an intimation under section 143(1). So we wanted to cover those issues. Most of the time, those are very basic issues, such as we will be talking about the address, email IDs of the client, of the client, etc. So all those things are actually very basic, but can have a huge repercussions in the future, and we may have faced them also in our practice till now. So what I have tried to done over here is, as per my experience, and I have taken some guidance from some of my colleagues uh, regarding this and taken their inputs also. So I have first half of the presentation, I have tried to cover up various issues which might come up at the time of filing of the income tax returns, which leads to an intimation, the first level, what you can say, the disallowance which happens under section 143(1). So the issues which may lead to a disallowance under 143(1), I have tried to cover those, and some other aspects also I have covered in this. Next, I have taken updated returns, and then there are some changes. Now, changes in ITR form 2223 also I have highlighted in my presentation various areas wherein um, some of the points, if we don't disclose it properly, some of the disclosure, there are many disclosures and new disclosures there are there with respect to new acts. So if we don't disclose those points, then it may lead to a disallowance under 143(1). So I have covered those areas also. I have marked those areas also. So let's go ahead. Basic first, intimation 143(1). I'll go very quickly over this. We can get more time to discuss on the practical issues. This we all know. Intimation under 143(1) is a summary assessment, a processing of return, and not an actual assessment. We have a Supreme Court case law, which states that intimation under 143(1) is not an assessment procedure, but it's just the processing of return or just a summary assessment, and does not have anything to do with assessment. Now, why is it important for us to know this thing and it is not an assessment? Is because it may happen, and it's happening actually right now, that we may file an ITR, and at the same day or the next day it's getting processed and we are getting 143(1). But we may find out, if we have the time available with us, then we may find out that, oh, something has missed out, or we need to change something and we want to file a revised return for it. So that's why section 139(5), which talks about the revised return, it says that revised return can be filed within the due date or before the completion of the assessment. So that's why, to know this is very important, that even 143(1) is not the assessment, so we can file a revised return. Scope of judgments. I think scope of judgments is the major area where we are going to talk today. First one is the arithmetical error. Now, arithmetical error as such does not happen today, because every one of us must be using one tax software or the other. So having an arithmetic error currently in today's returns, today's scenario is not, it's a far possibility. However, last year it was the first time in my career that I had used a utility. It was for a Section 8 company, and I used Wizman. So Wizman was not letting me file a Section 8 company under ITR 7. So I had to actually download an ITR 7 utility and file it. So in ITR utility, and to my shock, my sister was in Ernst and Young. And till today, Ernst and Young and some of the big fours are still using the utilities only. So in case any of you are using the utility, make sure that all the amounts on one page to other page are tallying. Because the ITR which we had filed, we have seen many places it was just a common pickup, but there are no pickups in ITRs in utilities. So in case you are using, then arithmetical error is quite possible in that case. Incorrect claim, disallowance of loss, disallowance of expenditure indicated in audit, etc. We are going to discuss all these points. Disallowance on deduction under 10 AA, we will also discuss this. Now, addition of income appearing in Form 26 AS. This point was applicable only till AY 1890. However, now what has happened is तिकडनं काढलं 143.11. So now they have issued a FAQ under 139.9. Income tax itself has issued a FAQ. I have given the link for the FAQs also of 139.9. 139.9 is a defective return. Under that defective return, they can take out this point. So basically, in case if you are tallying the Form 26 AS, you are not claiming the income as the income which is shown in the 26 days. However, you are taking the TDS part of it. Then we can expect a 139.9 notice or notice of defective return and not a 143.1 because the scope of this addition under the form 26 as has been removed now. Okay, going ahead. Meaning of incorrect claim, inconsistent entry of the same with other items. This is inconsistent entry is what I feel is the major point wherein all the disclosures are going to be very highly. I'll just give you an example. If you want to disallow an expenditure under TDS, 40AIA, for example, we disallow 30% of it. What it had happened in my office only, under the computation main sheet, there is a drop down arrow, drop down, wherein they ask us to disclose all the disallowances under section 40A. So under that 40A, general 40A, we just put all the disallowances, which is 30%. In other schedule, they have a complete list of disallowances under 40A, which is 40AI or 40AIA, etc. Over there, one of my junior, instead of putting 30%, he put the 100% of expense. So there was an inconsistent entry with one entry to another entry. So because of that, what had happened, we got an 143.1 disallowing 100% of the expense instead of 30%. So make sure we need to make sure that yes, sir. Okay, we need to make sure that there is a correct entry in all the places. If there is a 30% over here, then make sure it's 30% here also. Again, if you are using software like Winman, we were using some other software before, wherein we had to put manually. But now software like Winman are geniuses, I think. So they are giving they are only directly disclosing it. So we don't need to do a second entry for that. In respect of which is furnished to substantiate the claim, okay, disclosure, deductions of the specified statutory limit. We all know ATC, ATD, 1 lakh 50, 25,000, 50,000. So, all simple. The first point over here, notice needs to be provided before any adjustment. There is a proviso in 143.1 which states this, the notice will be provided. But however, in many of my cases, I have seen that 143.1, we have directly got the 143.1. I don't know in any of your cases, we have actually received any notice. We do get a notice under section 245 for adjustment of refund. I have that point later on. However, for this adjustment, I have never got a point. Now, in any of our clients, for example, if the adjustment is very small, 30,000, 40,000, then it might not become a commercial sense for the client itself to go into for an appeal for directly squashing the 143.1. However, if the adjustment is very high, then you may actually think of this route of the notice of not, the notice actually will not be provided. The time limit is 9 months. 143.1 we all know is a demand under section demand of notice under section 156. Once 156 has been invoked, section 221 interest at the rate of 1% starts. So it becomes very important for us to at least educate the clients that in case you get anything like this, any intimation under 143.1, just to share an experience of mine, a salaried person, normally the business people are all aware of the income tax notices and everything. However, our salaried people, our clients who are salaried people, they have no idea of what intimation under 143.1 is, especially doctors or engineers. No idea of what that is. This has happened to me. One of my engineer friends just shared a notice. Had a now actually income tax department assistants have started to call the clients, the assessees, and telling them now you have there is a demand over here. They have actually started calling. There is a 143.1 demand. तुम आता बघा जरा बरोबर आहे की नाही चेक करा. तो त्याला फोन आल्यावर त्यांनी मला हे केलं की अरे असं असं डिमांड दिसतोय. आम्ही 2 वर्षापासून रिटर्न बघतोय बट नॉर्मली वी नेव्हर गो अंडर द रिस्पॉन्स टू आउटस्टँडिंग डिमांड और इफ देर इज एनी ई प्रोसिडिंग वी जस्ट आपलं रिटर्न आलं रेडी झालं फाईल केलं. आम्ही पण बघितलं नव्हतं. तो काय झालं की आता त्याचा फोन आला की अरे 2019 he had got an intimation of 143.1 and nobody knew about it. It was a very simple issue. See the self-assessment tax challan which was paid by him. The challan number चे digits अदला बदल झाले तो त्यांनी हे केले पण 1,25,000 ची डिमांड होती. आज येईपर्यंत याचे 2.5 लाख पर्यंत झाले कारण काय इंटरेस्ट झाला. So almost 3 years already झाले होते बरोबर आणि त्यांचा फोन आला की अरे 2.5 लाखाची डिमांड आहे. So after that, what we did is for all the salaried clients and for all our business clients, आता तर normally 143.1 चे mail जे असतात त्याच्यावर एकदम लाल अक्षर एकदम लाल याच्यात येतं you have a payable, you have a refund, etc. So at least the clients are aware enough we need to do something about it. It's an actionable thing. Before there was nothing like that, just black मध्ये यायचं. So he had got that intimation when we tried to search his email. He had got that intimation. But he was like, I just ignored that mail. I did not know what that. So after that, what we did was we just wrote a small email to all our clients in BCC, telling them that intimation under 143.1 is very important. Notice or a processing of your return, and it may have a demand or a refund or your loss, which we may be claiming may have been even disallowed. So this year we may not have any repercussion, but next year when we are trying to claim the loss, and then in the next year 143.1 we may come to know that last year is disallowed. So it's very important for them to send it to us. We said 143.1 is not an assessment order. Okay, now let's go to adjustment of refund. This thing I think so every one of your clients must have faced. Everyone means everyone's clients, 1 or 2 clients must have faced this adjustment of refund. There are some old refunds 12, 13, 13, 14 काय असतात ते डिमांड्स कळत पण नाही त्याचे इंटिमेशन्स मिळत नाहीत. असेसिंग ऑफिसरला विचारून दिले की एक छोटासा आहे काहीतरी हाफ पेजर देतात ते काय असतात तेच माहित नाहीत. या वर्षीचे रिफंड ऍडजस्ट होतात त्याच्या. 2 points we need to note in this is under adjustment of refund is notice should be provided. If they are going to adjust your refund, they should provide you a notice before they adjust. I have noted down the very important case laws, Hindustan Unilever being the most important one of them because it's a Bombay High Court, very relevant, made some major points in this. So if it is commercially viable for your company, for example, the refund adjustment is more than 2 lakh, 3 lakh, 5 lakh rupees, and the notice was not provided to you, then you may actually think of going into appeal on this point itself. on squashing the refund. And the second aspect is regarding the refund of any state demands. If there is any demand for which you are under CITA and the demand has been stayed by the officer, or you are under ITAT, then against that demand also, practically it should not be adjusted. But we have a case in one of our society case only, it has happened. ATP 2D disallowance is there. We are there in CITA. Stay has also been received. But this year, for some reason, there was a refund and it got adjusted. Now, the adjustment was just of some 30,000 or something. And it was not a viable option to go on a appeal on such a small point. But yes, we have a favorable case if the refund is quite high. Okay. Now coming to the actual issues, uh, which I would like to highlight for everyone.
Yes, sir.
Yes. 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 काय झालं होतं की नोव्हेंबर 21 पर्यंत CIT अपीलचे येत होते ऑर्डर. नोव्हेंबर 21 नंतर टू ऑलमोस्ट लास्ट मंथ मे पर्यंत काहीच ऑर्डर आले नाही. टू द एक्सटेंट दॅट ITAT मध्ये तुम्ही केस फाईल केली ना, तर एवढ्या कमी अपेलेट ऑर्डर आलेल्या होत्या, CIT कमिशनरच्या ऑर्डर आलेल्या आहेत की ITAT मध्ये 3 महिन्यात केस उभी राहिली. लिटरली आमचं CIT A मध्ये एकाचं आता जस्ट हे आलं, ऑर्डर आली, अनफेवरेबल आली, तर आम्ही ITAT मध्ये आता हे केलेलं आहे. तर वी आर एक्सपेक्टिंग की मे बी नेक्स्ट 2 to 3 किंवा 4 महिन्यामध्ये तरी लागली पाहिजे नव्हती. आणि ऑर्डरच काढल्या नाही. आणि फेसलेस झाल्यानंतर काय मागे झालंय काय माहिती, काय कळतच नाही, आलेच नाही आहेत ऑर्डर. आता यायला लागले परत ऑर्डर. ओके. So what I have tried to done over here is now I have just listed down a few areas of concern or areas of importance which if आपण आता डिस्कस केलं तर कसं लक्षात राहतं. मे बी जेव्हा आपण when you are actually filing the return or when we are reviewing the return, तेव्हा लक्षात येतात ते पॉइंट. So I have just noted down very simple point but very important points as well. Address in the current situation is not that important because everything is electronic. However, address becomes important not at the time of search and seizure but actually at the time of survey. Income Tax Act provides that survey is done at the official address. And just imagine the plight that income tax officers come to survey at your home address of your client. So in the income tax return, we specify which address, residence, official address, etc. To make sure it's an official address. आता मला माहिती आहे खूप कंपनीज असतात घरच्या घरी हे असतात ऍड्रेसेस रजिस्टर्ड असतात, that we can't do anything. So we can even refer to Rule 127 in this regard. Rule 127 read with rule section 282. 282 is service of general notices, and the rule 127 provides which addresses and which email IDs would be considered for services of notices. So which addresses would be considered? One would be the address which you have given on PAN, or the address which you have given on the income tax return relevant to the year for which the notice has been issued, or the last income tax return, or even the MCA address. MCA address in the sense address registered with the MCA if you are a registered society, corporate company or an LLP. So this addresses might be considered. Addresses again, I will say that addresses in today's age have become a lot irrelevant. However, sometimes it is happening that even today, yesterday we came to, not yesterday, some 3-4 days back, we came to know of a society त्यांचं CIT ची अपील आम्ही फाईल केलेली बिफोर कोरोना 2020 मध्ये ATP 2D साठी. ऑर्डर त्यांची आली आहे नोव्हेंबर 21 मध्ये. कोणालाच माहिती नव्हती ऑर्डर आली. आणि त्यांना डिमांड आली परत 143(1) ची. 143(1) ची आता काय करतात की पहिलं पान फक्त प्रिंट आउट काढून पाठवतात. तर तेव्हा ते पान आलं ना तेव्हा त्यांना कळलं की अरे ही काहीतरी अशी नोटीस आली. मग आम्ही वेंट आहे मी सगळं बघितलं तर बघितलं की अरे हे सगळं अपीलच डिसअलाव केलेली आहे त्यांनी आणि परत 143(1) ची त्यांनी प्रिंट काढून पाठवली. So they did not got the notice only. We checked the email ID, we checked the. So sometimes it may happen so again. So at that time again the addresses are important for us. कारण समजा परत ऍड्रेस कुठे दुसरीकडे पाठवला असं तर ती पण नोटीस मिळाली. आता म्हणजे नॉर्मली नाव we have just made a policy only in our office after all these things are happening. I at least every 3 months or 4 months for all the demands, adjusted demands or the outstanding demands which are there under 143(1) or the pending CIT. We have just made a chart now. When was the last we checked on the site and we updated. I've kept someone to just see and go now because it's happening that we are not getting communication properly and we don't know what's happening. So next, email and mobile number, the most important. First, we will note that under which email address the notices should come. The most common misconception with us is the profile मध्ये जाऊन जो email address आहे त्याच्यावर येतो. That is not the email address for which the notices are served. Maybe for any other communication they might be using the profile email ID. But as per rule 127 again, the email ID which is provided in the income tax return of that relevant year or the latest income tax return or the email ID which you have given and the registered record of MCA. Those email IDs are valid. It is not the profile email ID. So this is
problem with email. What is noticed is and don't get it. Some old email IDs are there, and they keep on sending all the communication to old email IDs only.
हो म्हणजे आता नेक्स्ट पॉइंट आय एम गोइंग टू से काय होतं की खूप वेळा ना कन्सल्टंटचे पण ईमेल असतात. आमच्या बरोबर पण असे नवीन क्लायंट आहे आणि कोणत्यातरी जुन्या कन्सल्टंट ईमेल आयडी वर सगळे सर्व झालेले आहेत. 147च्या नोटिसेस गेलेल्या आहेत टू द एक्सटेंट की या नोव्हेंबर मध्ये आम्ही एकाचं रिटर्न NRIचं रिटर्न फाईल करत होतो. So while filing that NRI return, as I said, I've just made a policy right now to check the outstanding demand for everyone, even before filing the return. Over there in outstanding e-proceedings, we saw proceedings under section 147 open. I was so shocked that the client was not only giving me the notices, but we did not know only that such proceedings had actually started. The first notice had come on 31st of March 2021, and I don't know client's luck चांगलं होतं, but the last notice was issued somewhere around the date to reply to the last notice was somewhere around 28th or 29th of December, आणि आम्ही 24th डिसेंबरला रिटर्न फाईल करण्याच्या आधी बघितलं आणि आम्हाला कळलं म्हटलं अरे ऍटलीस्ट 3-4 दिवस तर आहेत. अँड देन त्याला आम्ही ऍडजस्टमेंट घेतली, पण पुढे जेव्हा जानेवारीमध्ये ऍक्च्युली बसून आम्ही सगळे डिटेल्स काढले की नोटीस सर्व झाली आहे की नाही, ऍक्च्युली गेली आहे की नाही, आणि मग आम्ही इन्कम टॅक्सचं रिटर्न काढलं. त्यांचं कोणता आहे तो कन्सल्टंटचा आला, त्याला फोन केला तर तो बोला हो आ गया था वो मैंने चेक ही नहीं किया. सो इट मे हैपन टू अस ऑल्सो की we also normally what happens our clients leave and go. So if they go then the notices we may receive the notices. So I would always suggest never to take our email ID. Now sometime it happens for senior citizens. ईमेल आयडीच नाही आमच्याकडे, आम्ही काय करू? मुलाचा द्या, मुलीचा द्या, फ्रेंडचा द्या चालेल, पण कोणाकडे असं द्या ज्याच्यावर तुम्ही रिलाय करू शकाल तो तुम्हाला देईल. आमचा नका देऊ. So never take your email ID. Secondly, always take permanent email IDs of the assessment. Professional email IDs देतात. This is @infosys.com. दुसऱ्या वर्षी सोडून दिलं इन्फोसिस गेला email. There is, to answer your question, sir, as per the act, I need to research on this, but prima facie, I don't think that there is any compulsion of a digital presence required. But says that ITR form मध्ये तुम्ही email ID नाही घातला तर form return upload नाही होणार. No, I don't think so. Email and now ITR are to be filed electronically. I don't think so. They are registered in any gateway for it. It will be considered as a valid return. Physical, yes, for 80 years plus.
Senior citizen, I do not have any email address.
Okay.
I do not deal in internet. I don't know anything.
Okay.
So I request to send me physical copy of all communication.
Okay.
But they are not sent. So then we got a separate email be opened for him on somebody's mobile number.
Correct.
Basically, the problem for all
Senior citizens continue. Yes.
But they don't know all this technology. It's very difficult to communicate.
Yeah.
Let the owners be on them only. Don't take the owners on your
Yes.
Never. See, they do it on separate mobile, so he has to open it and see.
Or else what I suggest is the personal email IDs of at least their son or their daughter. Who at least check their personal email ID. Because I don't think so. We can give multiple email IDs for me. I think so that is allowed. I have not received till now, as per my experience, that there is a multiple email ID registered, so you can't register the same email ID for several reasons.
tag numbers for each.
10. Okay.
But under the law,
Dot, email.
Lot of communication. Law.
आपने बताया
But when it says physical communication should be same. The law department is bound to adhere to that. Question.
Okay, so if you make an application,
Yeah, if you make an application, okay, you are requested to send to physical copy only. Is the department duty bound to do that or not? Or only email is a mandatory mode of communication? That is my question to you.
Practical wise, the way I can see, you are getting email, yes, but you are getting printouts also. At least in my case, I have at least my personal archive. I am receiving my printouts also, I am receiving my emails also, both of them.
Physical, they are sending.
43 1 भी आ रहा है, notices भी आ रहा है, सब आ रहा है.
physical, I have not received.
हमने की भी फ्री दे रहे हैं.
Next meeting में मैं लेके आता हूँ printouts.
I need to check the point.
That's what we are getting. Somewhere we have clicked
Whether
something
this
which we do not
application will be allowed, because this facility is allowed as per the Digital Information Act also. This way of communication has been allowed as per the Act. Now, I don't remember any section which provides that if that separate application has been made for a physical form, and whether on a separate application whether a separate application, now this point where we need to check if there are any existing case laws for this, that if a separate application has been made by the SSC that we need physical notices, and still the notices has been served by way of digital route, that whether the service by way of digital route can be considered as a proper service of notice. Is the question, right? Then we need to check the case laws for it. I don't remember any case laws. Next, refund. This refund, not for all the clients at least, but some of the clients, what happens is non-resident clients, capital gains, 20% is deducted. And many of the times there is not a lot of capital gains as much of the TDS is deducted. So there is a huge refund. So in case there is such a refund, then it's very important for us to check the bank account name and the PAN number, PAN name, whether they are matching or not. Normally, it doesn't happen nowadays, but I think 5 years back, for a very old account of one of our clients, the middle name was not there. So the refund got bounced. It's a very simple application. You just have to do a refund reissue request, and then maybe in 1 or 2 months it is accepted. But still, it happens. Secondly, is never to give the bank account numbers of a current account. What happens normally is in a current account, they have some different business names, Pradhan and Associates. That Pradhan and Associate does not match with Aditya Jain Pradhan on the PAN. And then the refund is disallowed. So never give current account. Yes, sir.
Practical mode. First, now you have to validate your bank account. So when you are validating, if your PAN name and your bank name does not match, it's the name, the email ID, and the mobile. All three have to match with your profile and the bank. If they don't match, bank account does not get validated. Plus, if you have more than one account validated, also they don't send you the refund. Or as you said, non-resident, if you are validating the NRE account,
Yes.
they don't send you the refund. You have to validate only
I,
the
I
NRE.
should have put that point. NRE, yes, yes. NRO is allowed. Yes. So on practical note, sir, I like to add that currently we are not required to validate the bank accounts. Means we don't need to put in the bank accounts also. For many of our clients which we are checking right now, we had put 1 or 2 bank accounts in the income tax ID. Now this year we are checking if all the bank accounts have come in and everyone have been validated automatically by the income tax side for some of my clients also.
One
Yeah.
of my non-resident case, he had 3 accounts validated. हाँ, तो validate कर दिया था. And but the refund got rejected on the ground that there are 3 accounts. You remove 2 accounts, then we'll give it.
Validated, and there is another thing of nomination for refund, I think so.
That we had clicked for the account.
So one,
but
okay.
then still they did not do that.
Is it? I've never seen that because
Technically, they should not have because
Yeah.
in my form I'm mentioning that this is
correct the
my
account number. Yeah,
in
exactly.
my validation also I'm saying that this is my primary validated account. I want my refund in this account. Yet they did not do that.
Oh, I've never gone for this.
So when we called up the helpline, they said, sir, आपका 3 account है, आप 2 निकाल दो, एक ही हम दे देंगे.
अच्छा.
We remove those 2 accounts. I think now 15 days or so the refund came.
Oh. Okay. Next one, linking of PAN and Aadhaar. Important for us currently because the due date has gone now. 30th of June was the due date for linking the PAN and Aadhaar. Rule, what important over here we need to note is the rule 114AAA specifies that if the PAN and Aadhaar are not linked, the PAN becomes inoperative. So if the PAN only becomes inoperative, then you can't file your return. You can't get your refund. Maybe the carry forward losses may go out. Simple remedy to that is just paying off 1,000 rupees and then the PAN again becomes operative. However, what we have done for all of our clients is we just made a chart for all the clients and we just checked whether the PAN and Aadhaar has been linked or not. And we actually found one was not done in the last week of June, even after so much of time. Now, why we did that was it may so happen that you may complete the entire return, and currently the 31st July is the last date. There might not we might not get any extension this year. It should not happen that on the last day or the second last day, 28-29 July, आपण लॉग इन करतोय आणि बघतोय अरे पॅन नाही आधार नाही केला म्हणून इनॅक्टिव्ह झाला. Paying 1,000 and again activating it is a very simple thing. but it may happen की आता site वर load आहे होतच नाहीये असं. So it is better that currently the site is working, that's good. So we just check it right away. We did it in the last week of June and we even found one client that's केला नव्हता अजून. Okay. Coming to the next point, arithmetic errors. आपण झाले डिस्कस रिप्रोसेस द रिटर्न्स केलं तर होऊन जातं ते. 143(1) मध्ये also we are seeing some arithmetic errors. Now this you may find very you might find it's very stupid, but it has happened in one of our case. Some of the expenses were disallowed in one of our clients, and those expenses they just said ki the expenses allowable are this much, some vague amount, 1,25,000 amount they disallowed. कोणते एक्सपेन्सेस होते कळलेच नाही. आम्ही एक्सेल मध्ये टाकले ऍडिशन हे ते फॉर्म्युले लावले काय कळतच नव्हते. फक्त रिप्रोसेस केलं रिटर्न. नो क्लू why they had done this. Just we reprocess the return and then the disallowed expenses were allowed. No idea why it happened. So it might happen from their end also. So the only thing is to reprocess the returns. Okay. Now coming to some very important issues. 36(1)(5)(a). Disallowance of payment of employee related provident fund contribution, or any other contribution like ESM, superannuation, etc. And then at 21 point, after they introduced two explanations to it, that first one was that the 43B is nowhere related to 36(1)(5)(a), and they specified that the due date mentioned, the second explanation mentioned that the due date mentioned in the section was relating to the due date, sorry,
As per law.
as per their specific law, as per their respective laws, and not the due date of the income tax returns. So from AY 21-22, it's very clear that it's going to get disallowed, no matter what we do. However, there have been judgments now which says that this law is not retrospective. So if you have any clients which are facing this issue in the previous year, you might go into an appeal and quote this case law. Ghatke Patil is like the most famous along with Alum institutions. हे दोन तर मेजर आहेत केस लॉस. फक्त राजकुमार लक्ष्मीनारायण कनोजिया, Kanoji. So this case law I have put in because while giving the judgment, one of the members had cited, I have written it down over here. He said that I hold that CPC has no jurisdiction of adjustment under section 143(1) on this issue, where admittedly there were decisions in the favor of the assessee from honorable high courts. So the purpose of giving this case law over here is not just for 36(1)(5)(a), but this case law you can use for other sections also. If there are any favorable case laws for any other matters for which there is a disallowance because of non-tallying with tax audit report, or there is any other disallowance in 143(1), and we have a favorable case law in our case, then this Rajkumar Kanojiya case law, IT18 मुंबईचा case law आहे. इकडेच वापरू शकतो आणि CIT वगैरे ऍक्सेप्ट करतात नॉर्मल. CIT IT80 चे असतील मुंबईचे. तर ह्या इश्यू साठी आम्हाला एकदम चांगला पॉइंट मिळाला म्हणून हा केसला ऍक्च्युअली द इश्यू इन दिस केसला वॉज 36(1)(5)(a), बट दिस हे जे वर्डिंग अँड व्हॉट एव्हर दे हॅव हेड, दिस कॅन बी ऍक्च्युअली बी यूज फॉर अदर थिंग्स ऑल्सो. ओके. Club membership, entrance fees and subscription fees. Chetas Gulabhai Desai. ह्याच्यामध्ये again there was a point of whether normally this is happening with everyone. We disclose all the payments made to for club membership and it gets disallowed. So now again there is a question of whether the assessee had done this transaction on a commercial exponent basis. This is again a debatable question. It's a debatable claim. So 140 you cannot disallow it under 143(1) is the judgment. What Chetas Gulabhai Desai did. Now, what had happened in this judgment was, and what we can learn from this is, what had happened was, this guy first went into a 154 to for an mistake apparent on record. 154 was disallowed. So they went into a CIT appeal on the 154 order. What happened in the 154 order, whoever the consultant was very smart, and he had just taken this point that uh, it's a debatable issue. Okay, no, it's a debatable issue. We cannot take it. We cannot take it. ऐसे ही करके ये कर रहा था. So, and then he said that it should have been allowed in 154. It's a debatable issue, and it should have been allowed in 154. CIT said that, see, it's a debatable issue. We agree. Debatable issues cannot be disallowed, cannot be undertaken, or the rectification of debatable issues cannot be done in 154. ऐसा करके judgment he passed. They took this point. They were very smart. They knew that they may not get any favorable judgment in CITA. So they just took this point that a debatable issue cannot be rectified under 154. They went into ITAT appeal and they said that it's been held that it's a debatable issue. Then how can it be adjusted in the 143 one? And that's how they won the case. It's a very smart play by the consultant, whoever was advising them, but they were actually planning for the ITAT. That they wanted the CIT officer to make a debatable make that a debatable issue, and how it cannot be accepted under 154. He said, okay, 154 मध्ये नाही आला होता 143 1 मध्ये कसा गेला? And they got the point. Okay, next thing. Foreign assets. Foreign assets. Being a resident, foreign assets आपल्याला disclose करावे लागतात. 50 lakhs जास्ती असेल तर सगळे assets and liabilities disclose करावे लागतात. We all know. त्याच्यामध्ये point काय important, what we need to note over here is, under the liberalized remittance scheme, many of our HNI clients are buying flats outside India, in US, UK, Dubai. तीन ह्याच्यात आम्ही बघतोय मेनली. दुबईमध्ये घेतात किंवा US मध्ये घेतात किंवा UK मध्ये घेतात. फ्लॅट घेतात प्रॉपर. आणि खूप जणांना तर सॅलरीड लोक आहेत, तो आपण we don't even keep their books of accounts. So we don't know where the actual money are going. And they don't tell us also. So again, very important for us. आम्ही लास्ट वर्षी सगळ्यांना मेल टाकले होते, तुम्ही कुठेही बाहेरगावी कोणतंही इन्व्हेस्टमेंट करत असाल किती छोटं, आणि लिबरलाइज रेमिटन्स स्कीम मध्ये लगेच पैसे जातात. 2,50,000 US जाऊ शकतात. ते इझिली पाठवतात. So very important for them, for us to at least put a mail to them to educate them that we need to disclose all these assets and liabilities. Now, why am I telling so? Is because under the Black Money Act, a non-disclosure of a foreign asset can be considered as a misrepresentation, and there is a direct penalty of 10 lakh rupees for non-disclosure of foreign assets under the Black Money Act. And there is a ITAT judgment, not the ITAT in the sense income tax tribunal. A separate tribunal is there for Black Money Act. Under that, there is a judgment in which over here in Mumbai only, someone had not disclosed their foreign assets in the income tax return, and they are considering the disclosure in the income tax return only as the relevant disclosure, the Black Money Act. And she was slapped with a 10 lakh penalty for just non-disclosure. However, what she claimed was the foreign income relating to that asset. She was getting some petty income. That income was disclosed in the income tax return. However, because of my mistake, genuine mistake, with no intention of misrepresentation. I had shown the income, but just did not show the asset as a mistake. She was given, she was her non-disclosure was controlled. Non-resident, sir, for non-resident and for resident who are not ordinary resident, they are not required. Sorry. So, correct. Correct. Of course. And now.
But I have a counterpoint to your argument. What if somebody is working abroad, he's bought it there, and now he is a resident in India? But I have many opposite cases also.
Correct. तिने हे सगळं केलंच असणार सर मोस्टली इन हर जजमेंट मी पूर्ण वाचली नाहीये आय जस्ट रेड but now they are considering income tax return as this base. Now they काय काही घेतात.
Indian asset.
Indian asset.
Indian.
Bank account. Actually, sir, आम्हाला असे केसेस येत आहेत छोटे छोटे क्लायंट्स असतात मे बी इंटरेस्ट इन्कम असतं वगैरे बाकी काय नसतं गोवा अर्बन कोऑपरेटिव्ह बँक मध्ये एआयएस मध्ये आता इंटरेस्ट दिसतो त्यांना का आम्ही फोन केलेला आहे यावेळी तर ते आम्हालाच फोन करून विचारते की तुम्हाला इन्फॉर्मेशन कळते कुठून माझ्याकडे गोव्याला अकाउंट आता एव्हरीथिंग इज इलेक्ट्रॉनिक so till now we also did not know आणि ती अकाउंट बघितलं त्याच्यात इन्कम आहे बऱ्यापैकी
But AIS is also disclosing if there is a second holder, it is also disclosing in their account. I have a case where somebody else has disclosed, deposited money in their account. My client is the second holder.
हो
TCA, TDS,
दोघांनाही होतं
even gift is reported now at stamp duty value. Pub nationalized, Bank of India doesn't give, State Bank of India doesn't give. Most of the nationalized banks only.
No, this is actually not. I mean, how I have worded it, it's completely different. No. There are two things over here. There is a different schedule for foreign assets. Zero income असेल, तू income tax return file करत असेल करायला पाहिजे. करायचं. पण आज एक ना वेगळं schedule आहे assets and liabilities.
ITR 1 filing I have a policy.
Non-residents and RN1 are not. कळलं नाही काय? Okay.
All of that is continued. Now what
Yeah. No. You don't need to disclose in the only when you are a resident.
No, when you are a non-resident, you can't disclose that schedule. I have tried that. It doesn't happen. ITI 2 will not take that set. It will not be validated.
Even at least, because see, they use that money to do the investment in India. So it's never coming to them.
Yeah, but if you're a non-resident, you can't
foreign
foreign
resident झाला की सगळं डिस्क्लोज करायचं.
But you have to keep on harassing that client for his foreign assets because when he becomes a resident, he'll not give you.
Yeah.
There are many chances that happens.
Sorry. हाँ.
No. Those are Indian assets.
I did not get.
नाही तू नॅशडॅक फंड मध्ये टाकला किंवा MOSL 100 नॅशडॅक ETF आहे if you put in that so is it a foreign asset?
No.
It is not a foreign asset. It
ते
is
नसतं त्यांचे जे स्कीम हाऊ द स्कीम वर्क्स इज मोतीलाल इथे म्युच्युअल
नाही,
फंड
नाही, but
काढतात
if you-
आणि ते इन्व्हेस्ट करतात नॅसडॅक
नाही but ICICI and all have a scheme where you through the broker you have a brokerage account
Correct,
in the
correct.
US and that is a foreign
दॅट इज अ फॉरेन
मेरे क्लाइंट ने बोला था ना इधर इंडिया में बैठे बैठे उधर अकाउंट खोल लिया ICICI.
ह्याच्यामध्ये पण येणार आहे आता झेरोडा मध्ये वगैरे पण करू शकतो.
हा सो बट दॅट इज अ फॉरेन asset.
दॅट इज अ फॉरेन.
आणि त्यांनी पेंटिंग घेतली
काय म्हणतो
एका पेंटिंगचा एवढा शेअर एका गाडीचा एवढा शेअर.
अरे माझा एक क्लायंट आहे
Collective
ह्या ह्याच्यामधनं बसून मला बोलतो अरे मी ना ऍपलचे एवढे घेतले ह्याचे घेतले अरे म्हटलं फॉरेन एसेट डिस्क्लोज कर
नाही माझ्याकडे तर इश्यूज असेल.
Usually they have all 401k assets.
Yeah.
There. Once they come back to India, they have to.
But many a times what happens is somebody is working in a multinational in India and they get ESOPs also in the US. And that dividend is again a foreign income, which they don't know what the amount is.
They have made some partners also in some limited partnerships outside
Ha.
India. That also you are supposed to disclose.
But that is very difficult if the client also doesn't know because they are mostly technical
Clients are
people.
ready of sharing those information. That is all that. If they will report for the
Ha.
आता जस्ट
Even wrong disclosure is better than no disclosure.
आता नाव
Here on the
नाव आता ना पुढे जाऊन ना since we are having this discussion on foreign assets, there is an amendment corresponding to this. For example, let's say for the assessment year 22-23 means 1st January 22 ला एक asset घेतला. I bought a flat in Dubai on 1st January 22. Whether it should be disclosed or not? No. For the disclosure of foreign assets, they have given a specific term known as the accounting year. For the first, I will discuss for the AY 22, 21, 22. For this year, yeah. Correct. I know. For AY 22, 23, I asked January 22 मध्ये करू शकतो का? And I stand की नाही करायचं. तो काय आहे ना की त्यांनी एक वेगळं हे दिलेलं आहे की त्यांनी लिहितात की foreign assets held in that accounting year.
Not as on the date of filing the return.
No. Accounting year's definition was not given. So what they are saying was last year, AY 21-22 they said the accounting year would be the calendar year. So for AY 21-22, the accounting year was 1st January 20 to 31st of December 20. Then by way of another notification, they said that for the assessment year AY 21-22, the accounting year and the relevant previous year will be considered. So for AY 21-22, upon 1st January 20 to 31st of March 21 करेंगे. For the current year AY 22-23, त्यांनी म्हटलं accounting year करायचं आहे, which will be the calendar year only. So from 1st January 21 to 31st of December 21, जे पण assets असतील ते disclose करायचे. So my question was 22 मध्ये करायचे की नाही. So again थोडा मिसकॉन्सेप्शन आहे की आपला फॉरेन असेट्स कधीचे करायचे तर आपल्या प्रिव्हियस इयर मध्ये असतील तर असं नाहीये. त्याचा वेगळा अकाउंटिंग इयरचा एक डेफिनेशन दिलाय त्यांनी which is from 1st January 21 to 31st of December 21.
So in this case, on a conservative basis, you disclose 1st January. There is no harm. You are putting the correct disclosure.
Yeah, you can put it, but
Rather than
Exactly.
not, rather than taking
Over
away,
disclosure is not a problem.
whether was required or
पण
not.
अशात असं होऊ शकतं की 1 जानेवारीला
will
कोणता
get
एक
the
ऍसेट
question.
होता आणि तुम्ही मेबी फॉर 31 मार्च 21 तुम्ही विकून टाकला तो. ऍज ऑन 1 एप्रिल तुम्हाला वाटतं ना तो नव्हता तसा मग गरज नाही. इन्कम प्रिव्हियस ऍसेटचं फक्त यांनी असं विचारलं. हा फक्त हा एक लास्ट पॉइंट एक डिस्क्लोज करायचा होता. दिस इज नॉट ऍक्च्युली रेलेव्हंट फॉर आवर इन्कम टॅक्स रिटर्न, पण एक आमच्या क्लायंट मध्ये अशी केस झाली आहे. युएसचा ग्रीन कार्ड होल्डर आणि तिकडे युएस आणि मेनली युके मध्ये त्यांना फॉरेन ऍसेट्स डिस्क्लोज करावे लागतात. नाव फॉर ऑल द ग्रीन कार्ड होल्डर्स ऑर द युके सिटीजन्स they disclose all the assets which they have bought. त्यांनी काहीतरी इथे इंडियामध्ये प्रॉपर्टी घेतली असेल युएस मधनं पैसे देऊन तर दॅट इज ओके, ते करतात डिस्क्लोज. हावेवर मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टंट इज आई वडील गेल्यावर इनहेरिट करतात प्रॉपर्टी आणि ते कधीच डिस्क्लोज होत नाही. तो युएस मध्ये आणि मग काय होतं इथे विकतात ते आणि तिकडे प्रॉपर्टी घेऊन जातात. इथे ऑलरेडी टॅक्स वगैरे कापलेला असतो आणि त्याचा इकडचा ते फॉरेन टॅक्स क्रेडिट घ्यायला तिकडे जातात आणि तिकडे ते फसतात. आणि तिकडचे लॉ खूप स्ट्रिक्ट आहेत IRS मध्ये की तुम्ही हे नाही केलं वगैरे. आता मध्यंतरी काहीतरी यांची स्कीम पण चालू होती की तुमचं काही डिस्क्लोजर नसेल तर द्या. ह्याच्यावर आम्ही सगळ्यांना टाकलं होतं ऍटलीस्ट फॉर अवर NRI क्लायंट की तुम्ही असं काय असेल इंडियामध्ये तुमचे इनहेरिटेड हे वगैरे असतील तर लगेच डिस्क्लोज करून टाकायचं स्कीमच्या. नॉट रेलेव्हंट टू अस बट कोणत्याच्या असतील तर जस्ट आपण सांगू शकतो. Yes. आपल्यामध्ये पण इंडियामध्ये अजूनही आलं नाही पण ओनली द 5A सेक्शन आहे पोर्तुगीज लॉ त्याच्यामध्ये ते कंबाईन करतात. म्हणजे कंबाईन नाही करत, इंटरेस्ट आलं असेल कोणतं इंटरेस्ट इन्कम तर ते हजबंड अँड वाईफ मध्ये हाफ ऑफ स्प्लिट होतं. त्याच्यामध्ये खूप इश्यूज होतात. तो नॉर्मली 5A चे रिटर्न वगैरे इथे राहणार होता वॉज म्हणजे जस्ट ही हॅड शिफ्टेड फ्रॉम गोवा अँड कम ही हॅड आस्क्ड मी बट आय लाईक लिटरली काइंडली म्हणजे आय हॅड रिफ्यूज टू डू इट बिकॉज इट हॅज सो मेनी कॉम्प्लिकेशन. कारण त्यांनी ऍक्ट बनवलेला आहे की इन्कम घ्या मग डिडक्शनचं काय करायचं एक्झम्पशनचं काय करायचं एवढे क्वेश्चन देतात. म्हटलं नाही तुम्ही गोव्यातच फाईल करायचं यावर्षी नेक्स्ट इयर बघू. Audit report needs to be filed. We all know that there are many sections, provisions. If you want to claim any deduction under it, for example, section 11, तर काही audit reports file करायचे असतात. All those audit reports needs to be filed on time. We need to take care of that. I'll give an example of 10B, section 11, form 10 CCB for ATIA, ITIB, for example, दिलेले आहेत. ह्याच्यामध्ये मेन पॉइंट बघण्याचं काय आहे की इन्कम टॅक्सच्या ह्याच्यामध्ये ना अदर स्केड्यूल मध्ये एक हे असतं की आपण एक टिक करतो तिथे की वेदर द असेसी इज रिक्वायर्ड टू ऑडिट अंडर एनी ऑफ द ऍक्ट असं म्हणून तिथे आपण टिक करतो आणि टिक केल्यावर ना खाली डिटेल्स टाकायचे असतात. डेट टाकावी लागते, डेट ऑफ ऑडिट रिपोर्ट, अंडर विच ऍक्ट यू हॅव डन द ऑडिट अँड व्हॉट इज द सेक्शन ऑफ द ऑडिट. This I have seen mainly prevalent in cooperative housing societies. It's a very common knowledge that cooperative housing societies are required to do audit under Maharashtra Cooperative Societies Act 1960. However, it has happened in one of my clients की त्यांनी ऑडिट रिपोर्टची ऑडिट तर झालेलं आहे आपलं पण ऑडिट रिपोर्टचं जेव्हा इन्कम टॅक्स मध्ये रिटर्न मध्ये ती डेट आणि सेक्शन आणि हे टाकलं नाही त्याच्यामध्ये आणि रिटर्न तसंच फाईल झालं. सो व्हॉट द 143(1) मध्ये ऑर्डर आली ना त्याच्यामध्ये द ड्यू डेट ऑफ फायलिंग द रिटर्न विच शुड हॅव बीन 31st ऑफ ऑक्टोबर केम टू 31st जुलै. आम्ही प्रॉपरली फर्स्ट वीक ऑफ ऑक्टोबर मध्ये रिटर्न फाईल केलेलं बट व्हॉट हॅपन बिकॉज ऑफ द ड्यू डेट चेंजिंग काय झालं की ड्यू डेट चेंज झाल्यामुळे आमचं रिटर्न गेला अंडर सेक्शन 139(4) बिलेटेड रिटर्न. It got processed as a belated return. Since it got processed as a belated return, section 80A(5) says that in case your return is late, you would not get ATP 2D. So just because of a disclosure, आमचं हे झालं. For that literally rectifications केले, ते reject झाले. So we had to go for an appeal. And in appeal मध्ये we got a clear order, we got a favorable order because we had given the audit report, we had given everything, and there it was accepted. So this disclosure is also very important. We know that audit reforms have to be filed, but disclosures also are very important. So any audit report, any audit have been done, disclose. Presentation in financial statement. This has also happened in one of my colleagues' case. This was a proper आपला manufacturer होता. Freight and forwarding charges. So काय करायचं, from some of the clients, freight and forwarding असायचे, ते reimburse करून घ्यायचं. Now what we used to do in this financial statement was, instead of showing a separate credit on the P&L account, तो expenses मध्ये तो net off करून टाकायचा. याच्यामध्ये काय झालं की नाव त्या समोरच्या यांनी for some of the big parties just on a conservative basis freight and forwarding वर TDS करून टाकलं. 26 AS मध्ये TDS दिसत होता त्याचा, त्यांनी तो TDS पण क्लेम केला. However, they got a defective notice under section 139(9) saying that there is no corresponding credit. And then they had to file a reply to it saying that it was netted off, they gave the ledger accounts to it, everything, and it was eventually allowed. But then even a simple presentation of financial statements can also lead to a defective return. I just wanted to, what I'm doing, I'm just giving you points. म्हणजे असं कधी तुमच्यामध्ये झालं तर तुम्हाला माहिती आहे असं होऊ शकतं. बिल्डरची केस सगळ्यात बरोबर होती. बिल्डर्स तुमचे क्लायंट्स असतील तर हे एकदम प्रिव्हेलंट आहे, सगळ्यांबरोबर होतं. बिल्डर्सचे बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स आर डन ॲज पर AS7, पर्सेंटेज ऑफ रेव्हेन्यू, आणि जे बायर्स असतात the TDS on done by the buyers and the actual recognition of revenue is different. Sometimes it happens is March मध्ये they record the revenue आणि April or May मध्ये TDS कापून ते revenue record करतात. It goes to the next year. It's a very classic example where there is a mismatch of income. Income समजा आदल्या वर्षीचं असेल, we carry it forward to the next year करू शकतो. However, if anyone has found a solution ki if the income and the TDS is in the next year, but we are recognizing in the current year, this might also happen because this is happening in many of the government companies, all contractors. So currently even I am not able to find a solution. Even I म्हणजे मी काय मोठा नाही बट तरी मला पण नाही मिळाले.
I had such case where TDS was not reflected in that relevant year. I had offered the income. So department had declared inspection notice and we filed an appeal against 143(1). In that appeal, we gave elaborate submissions. All the income has been good enough. Just because TDS is not reflected or reflected in the next year doesn't mean that you can make an adjustment. In the CIT, your favorable order, detailed order of 7 to 8 pages. And given a lot of case laws, and they allowed the appeal. So even if the TDS goes to next year, then if you offer the income, you should adjudicate and file an appeal.
आमच्यामध्ये सर कसं होत आहे, इन द नेक्स्ट इयर आम्हाला 139(9) च्या नोटिसेस येत आहेत सेइंग दॅट की तुम्ही इन्कम ऑफर नाही केलेलं आहे.
That is the problem. That's exactly again we have to reply.
Then we have to again reply. Correct. This case na when I'm sorry. Oh. तो एक अजून एक वेगळाच विषय आहे. बिल्डरचा आहे सर प्रॉब्लेम आहे. म्हणजे दिस क्वेश्चन ॲज यू वर डिस्कसिंग मला एव्हरी फोरम मध्ये मला हा प्रश्न विचारते, अरे अरे माणसं रिटर्न नेक्स्ट टाइम मध्ये आहे, इन्कम नेक्स्ट टाइम मध्ये, आम्ही इकडे घेतो तर काय करू? मला पण नाही कळत आहे, कारण त्यांनी इन्कम टॅक्सच्या ह्याच्यावर त्यांनी हे दिलेलं आहे की तुम्ही इन्कम टाका पुढे, टीडीएस पण पुढे टाका, ते कॅरी फॉरवर्ड करा.
Try to match the TDS and income. They take it in the next year. So we want a risk of non-disclosure income that year. Suppose your work is completed 95%, and you don't disclose the income, but tomorrow something comes out, and the huge litigation chances. Total income you should offer it. Maybe you can fight out on this point. You are preponing the income. So there is a question.
Some other peculiar tax audit clauses wherein I have faced this is penalties, prior period expenses. We show a separate disclosure in tax audit clauses. Even contingent liabilities. I don't know, means are they applying any brain strain, because contingent liabilities by nature only is not recorded in the book. If it's not recorded in the book, how still they are disclosing, still they are additionally allowing the contingent liabilities back. We have got the water 143. But yes, we replied to that and we got a favorable order, but it is happening. 40 AI we discussed, income not credited to profit and loss account. This might happen in some of the individual cases where we are filing tax audit report, wherein interesting for our capital gains might some of the accountants are disclosing it under form PCD under the clause of income not credited to profit and loss account. Any other income not credited to profit and loss account. So we might disclose it, and then there is another, there is a separate disallowance. Not a disallowance, there is a separate additional allowance. It's added back to the income. Annual information statement. Now there is a huge problem this year we are facing. At least last year थोडं तरी चांगलं होतं, या वर्षी 26 AS वेगळं दिसतंय, AIS वेगळं दिसतंय, TIS वेगळं वरचं दिसतंय. So we are facing this huge problem. So we are just sticking with 26 days right now because that matches with the interest certificate. Yes, sir.
So just yesterday I faced one salary case, very simple case. My 96 years is showing a salary of some 13 lakh what